So thank you all very much for joining. Just to briefly outline what we're going to cover in this short session, we're going to give a very brief outline of why the European Parliament Ambassador School Scheme exists, what it looks like, so what do you have to do to become an accredited ambassador school, and then we're going to hear from Darren and Ree from USP College, who are respectively junior and senior ambassador, or rather respectively a senior and junior ambassador from a college which has been involved with the ambassador school scheme for a number of years. And then we're going to give you a chance to ask any questions that you have as well. So just to briefly introduce myself, my name's Asher. I run a small educational social enterprise called Involver. We've been working with the European Parliament for a number of years, running educational sessions and helping them with educational programs. This is Anna, who works for the European Parliament Liaison Office. We've got another of our colleagues joining on the call, Ava, as well. And it's their programme, and Anna's going to explain a bit more about why the European Parliament has this programme and why it's operating in the UK as well, now that we're no longer part of the EU. Then we're also going to hear from Darren, who is a teacher of politics at USP College in Essex, and hopefully also Ree, who is one of his students and one of our kind of junior ambassadors. So first of all, I'll pass over to Anna to talk a little bit about why the European Parliament has the Ambassador School Scheme and why it's operating in the UK.
Yeah, thank you, Asher, and greetings to everybody. Thank you again. Thank you as well for joining us today. I try to be very brief. And so just to give you an overview about the European Parliament Ambassador School Program, as Asher was saying, this is a program which has been launched actually, or I don't know if you mentioned recently. We launched it in 2016, actually, all across the EU. And after that, we also ran a pilot project in the UK. Actually, it was run by Asher's team. And since we received quite good feedback from the participants, it has been decided to keep the program available in the UK for UK schools and students. The program itself is in-house developed. It was developed by our colleagues in the Netherlands a few years ago. And there the program was really popular. So there was a great interest in Europe. And this is how year by year, step by step, it has been deployed, first in 5 countries and then all across the EU. So that's just in brackets about the history. The main goal of the program itself is to promote parliamentary democracy, democratic participation, and civic education. So this is a very overarching program, and we say we bring Europe to your classroom. So everyone who wants to learn about Europe, this program will enable you to discuss and connect to the topics, and also to a wider network. Today, after these many years, the network is quite wide. We have now I will look at my notes. We have nearly 2,000 schools all over the EU. More than 5,000 senior ambassadors, teachers who participate in the program, and more than nearly around 35,000 students who participate in the program. So it's a kind of really successful project which is developing year by year. And so why we kept it open in the UK or to the UK? Actually, I mean, we have many reasons to do that, because the EU-UK relationship still is very close. We still have a lot of values in common, shared history, and also shared values like parliamentary democracy. And I think this is the key word: democratic participation and parliamentary democracy. We wanted to enable UK students, and also not only UK students, but European students living and studying in the UK, to learn about how the EU works, how the Parliament works, and also what is the current state of the EU-UK relations, because of course there is still a lot to do in common. We still have projects in common, and this project and program enables them to learn about all this and to have a broader understanding. So as I said, we still have a lot of, Asher will tell more about the program in detail. But just to give you the big frames and the big overview, this is a one-year scheme, one-year program, which is starts with a kickoff event in the autumn here in London at Europe House, and we complete the program with the certification and awarding ceremonies at the end of the school year. In between, you will have a lot to do as part of the program, so this will come in the next chapter. I shall tell you more about that. But just as a kind of footnote, or like in brackets, and very short, in the last year we developed a lot of complementary activities and programs which enable you to engage more with European topics, and also to exchange better and to connect to the network. So, for example, what we developed, a Europe Day event here at Europe House in London. You will be invited, or every school will be invited to participate this event. We also have the opportunity for one Apple student to speak, to give the keynote speech at the EU delegation's Europe Day ceremony and concert and reception for high-level guests, like embassies and ambassadors. We also have training opportunities for a limited number of students and teachers to exchange and connect, to travel to Brussels and Strasbourg. We also have some transnational events, and we also have events where we are inviting members of the parliament or former members of the European Parliament, so you can, and students can connect and have discussions with them. And we also, those who are part of the program can have a priority access to other programs, such as the Euroscola program and event, which is in Strasbourg. So this is in short. I don't want to take off your time. Asher, I think the floor is yours now to tell more about the details and how the program is run by the students and by the teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Anna. So, yeah, to go a bit more into the detail of what does it actually mean to be an ambassador school? What are European Parliament ambassadors? We split into kind of two groups. There are the senior ambassadors, which are basically school staff, and the junior ambassadors, which are the students, the learners in your school or college. And it's those learners, those students, that we want to do most of the work. This shouldn't be a big job for you as school staff. This is a program about participation by young people, about young people understanding how to change their community, how to change the world around them, and how to interact with parliamentary democracy, with their local democracy, with the community around them. So those junior ambassadors are the ones that we want to focus on. It's about them running events which share culture, which get them thinking about debate, which show off their leadership opportunities, their leadership skills, and help them to develop their communication skills as well. And that's what we're looking for, to become an accredited European Parliament ambassador school. You have to meet certain criteria, but these are very broad criteria. As we say, we want to see that the young people in your school are taking a lead. We want to see that they are thinking about and developing their democratic skills, whether that's through debate, whether it's through critical thinking, whether it's through engaging with other people from other communities and other political perspectives and points of view. We want to see that they are sharing European culture. So we're going to hear from Darren and Ree about how that's done how that's been done in USP College, but that can be very, very broad, whether it's about hosting a film screening for the Lux European cinemas, program, thank you, Cinema Awards, or whether it's about celebrating the European Day of Languages, which is coming up very soon, and sharing different European languages around your school and your college. We want to see that those junior ambassadors are also using their communication skills. At the heart of democratic work is communicating effectively, communicating sensibly, understanding the world around them and understanding how to communicate with one another. So over the course of a year, you have a whole year to complete this program. We want to see that those students have put on maybe 3 to 6 events which demonstrate these 4 broad criteria. We also ask that within that there's something that celebrates or marks Europe Day, and that there is an info point. So somewhere within the school, whether that's a physical location, lots of schools use a notice board, or whether it's something online or virtual. USP College, for instance, did a lot through their social media about places where other members of your school or college community can find out more about the European Parliament, about European culture, about European democracy, where they can go to access and get more deeply into that kind of information. So the way we ask you to let us know that you've been doing these things, submit your evidence, we try and keep it very light touch. We try and make sure that it's very easy for your junior ambassadors and you as senior ambassadors to provide this evidence. We just ask you to communicate what you're doing by putting it on your school website, in your school newsletter, in your school social media, whatever's easiest for you, and then letting us know. You just go onto the website, post the link to the tweet, for instance, that talks about the event that you've been running. We then check that out. We will try to amplify it as well through our social media channels, through our newsletters and that kind of thing. So the idea is that it's cross-promotion for everybody. We're talking about your school, your college, we're raising its profile. You're talking about the European Parliament and raising its profile. And together we're amplifying those things that your students are doing, and we're helping to kind of promote them and the skills that they're learning. As I said, you have a year to complete this, an academic year. As Anna mentioned, we've got our first training day coming up in October, CPD for staff members that will be here at Europe House. And from there, we're going to give you some ideas about how to recruit a team of junior ambassadors and get them working on the various projects that they're going to carry out over the year. Now, in the main, people often ask how many projects should they be running? We say maybe one per half term, one per term. So it's not a huge burden on their time. Lots of these students will be very busy with their GCSEs or with their A-levels or with their T-level qualifications. We understand they've got those things going on, and we want this to be complementary. This is something which they can help put on their CV, something where they can add to their UCAS form. The only date that's really fixed is around May the 9th, which is Europe Day every year. You don't have to do something on that day, but sometime around then we'd like you to do something that marks Europe Day as a celebration, a day about peace and unity and diversity in the European Union. Towards the end of the year, we send out a survey which we ask your school community to complete, just so we can learn what's working in your school or college, what's helping get the message out about the European Union, what's helping people understand the world around them better. This isn't a pass or fail survey. It's just something so that we can understand what's working in the project, and we can share that learning with the other schools and colleges that are part of the Ambassador Schools scheme. And in July, we'll come to your school or college and we'll organise central events to award you with a plaque and certificates for your junior and senior ambassadors. And we try and get a former MEP involved in doing that, or some other high-level European official. So I've explained a little bit about the practicalities of the programme. Anna's explained the reasoning behind it. Now I'd like to hand over to Darren, and he's going to tell you a bit about what that's actually looked like at USP College. Although USP College have been involved for a few years, Darren's actually only, last year was his first year running it. It was handed over to him by one of our other senior ambassadors, who's moved on now to a different school where he's instituted that programme in the school as well. So this is something which runs both in schools without sixth forms, sixth form colleges, vocational colleges, and schools that go all the way through from 11 to 18. And Darren's going to talk to you a little bit about how that's worked at USP College.
Okay, hello everyone. As Oscar has mentioned, we're a college in South Essex. We're a further education college with sixth form provision. I teach A-level politics here, and this is a group I mainly worked with on the EPAS project. As has been mentioned previously, my role was mainly as facilitator. The lead was taken by the students in developing the programme and coming up with ideas for projects. And my role really was to support them along the way with that. So among the many things that we did in USP College last year, we created an info point in our library, which had details about the programme. We had rotating profiles on EU countries, giving information on them. Our learners were really enthusiastic about building social media content. So we had Twitter, Instagram, we had a blog, and they will create their own resources as well. So for example, International Women's Day, one of our junior ambassadors created profiles on women who have instigated social change in their EU country. We've also organised class debates on climate change, on the impacts of globalisation, and we've also had our junior ambassadors give presentations as well on EU institutions. Everything kind of culminates then on Europe Day on May 9th, and our EPAS group celebrated Europe Day by inviting a former MEP, Jean Lambert, who's also an alumna of the college. So one of our junior ambassadors found that out, reached out to her, and she came to speak to our politics and EPAS junior ambassadors on May 9th, and she spoke about her time as an MEP in the European Parliament, and she also provided her analysis as well of current UK-EU relations. And then, as we're quite close to London, at lunchtime then we got the train into London to attend the event at Europe House, where our junior ambassadors met up with other junior ambassadors from other schools across the UK. They participated in a quiz. We also enjoyed a taster menu as well of different dishes from different EU countries. And then in the evening, we attended a celebratory concert as well by the Young Musicians Symphony Orchestra. And Rhea isn't currently here. I do believe she's stuck in traffic at the moment. It's gridlock in Turk. It's usually the case at this time of the evening. But she was the keynote speaker for Europe Day, and addressing over 300 attendees right before the concert. She spoke about the contribution of immigrants to the UK, and she described the UK as a mosaic comprised of different tiles. And her argument was that, we stand far stronger together. So that was a real honour and privilege for USP to have a student as a keynote speaker. In terms of CPD, it's already been mentioned that you will be invited to training in October, which is a great opportunity to meet up with senior ambassadors who've previously been involved in the programme, get some tips from them as well. And you also meet new people getting involved in the programme. So I really recommend attending that if you get an invite. And then also as well, I was very fortunate to be invited along to Brussels to European Parliament to meet up with other senior ambassadors from each of the 27 EU member states. And that was a great opportunity as well to share ideas, plan projects, and to really celebrate as well the achievements of our students. So it was really great to kind of find out what was happening, swap details as well, and making attempts as well to kind of twin schools, twin colleges, and find opportunities for future collaboration. So apologies, Rhea isn't here. Unfortunately, she can't give a student perspective on EPAS, but yeah, but that's more or less what we've been doing over the past year.
Thank you, Darren. That's fantastic. A really brilliant summary. Yeah, it is a shame that we don't hear from Rhea, but we've got a couple of videos that will talk a little bit about some of the students' perspective. And Rhea was fantastic giving that keynote speech, and it really was inspirational. And she's been such a fantastic junior ambassador, as have so many of the people that we've that we've come across through the EPAS scheme.
Can I just add here, because I stayed in touch with Rhea after the event, and she mentioned that thanks to this opportunity that she was giving the keynote speech, she got invited to other events and networks like Women in Diplomacy. So she really I think it's a kind of career booster, and she was really enthusiastic because it gave her possibilities, which even we didn't know before about them. So yeah.
Excellent. So just as I say, this is Queen Elizabeth School in Crediton. This is a state school that's all through, well, not all through, it's 11, year 7 through to year 13, 11 to 18 school. And there's a couple of students here. We'll talk a little bit about why they got involved and what they got out of it.
Well, I'm a politics teacher, and I think this is one of the best things I've done in politics, to get kids engaged, to give them something, a focused piece of work to do that involves a whole lot of different skills that they build throughout it. So it's been a really fantastic programme.
Like, you don't have to be in the political side of things. Like, you could be really interested in sports, or for me it was art.
Definitely EPAS has made me feel more connected to Europe. The opportunities and the skills that you'll get out of it are immense. So you can be speaking publicly, I mean, my personal statement for university, half of it is just this, honestly.
You're really moved by something, you have to do something about it, and you have to stand up, and you have to, that old expression, be the change you want to see.
I think it's a fantastic programme. I think it opens them up to possibilities that they wouldn't have thought of. I think it's really important that the younger generation in the UK understand European politics and understand what the European Parliament is, what it does, how it works.
My favourite part of the event, I think, was listening to the former member of the European Parliament talk. I thought it was really interesting what she said about how they make laws and how they need to get multiple parties involved to pass a law. I thought that was a really good way of governing.
Everyone has an opinion, so there's nothing stopping you from rising up and sharing that opinion with people. So just get involved, and even if you think your opinion doesn't matter, it does.
But yeah, I think it's important to note what Joe said there, that although this is something which is often comes from a kind of political angle, it's also something which has an appeal to students from whatever background, whether they're thinking, like for Joe was very involved in designing the logos and the presentations and so on at QE School. And that there's an approach for all kinds of different students to think about Europe, not just as a political entity, but as something which is about culture and art and music and about learning from one another and sharing those experiences. So it's about a way of getting all kinds of different students involved in those kinds of experiences.
It's really important to us as a school that anything we provide to students is freely accessible, and that it is something that all of our students can participate in. And one of the brilliant things about EPAS is that it's free for schools, it's free for students, and it allows us to be able to support all of our students to engage in a political dialogue that's going to be really meaningful to their futures. We encourage any teacher to consider being part of the EPAS programme. The support that you get from the European Parliament Liaison Office is absolutely fantastic. It makes it really easy to administer. There's lots of potential to do as much or as little as you feel able to, and flexibility with the programme to match your own school timetables. So it's easy to administer in schools, it's got huge creative potential, and it's really fulfilling, both as an individual teacher and in terms of the impact it has on the students.
There's various different resources that will that link in from the European Parliament Ambassador Schools, that we'll send out an email after the meeting, probably tomorrow morning, with links to all of those resources that you can download and other things that you can that link into different areas of the curriculum as well, and how you can therefore get other members of your school team helping alongside with this. Obviously, there's clear links to things like citizenship, social studies, MFL, but there's also lots of different things. I mean, QE in particular did a great event for Europe Day, where they linked in every single subject in their school to Europe in some way or another. So we will send that link out along with those links to the video tomorrow morning. So I just wanted to give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. I will unmute everybody. So if you have a question, then please do unmute yourself and ask, or raise your hand with the tools in Teams. But Anna just wants to.
Yeah, I just wanted, thank you. Just I don't want to take the time from you, but just that we organized regional events, kind of to hand over the certificates and awards, and we also try to organize press coverage, and we documented the event. So this is the videos you could see and the interviews we made with the students and teachers, and in some cases we really got really nice local press coverage of the event, which of course raised the visibility of the school, of course raised the visibility of our program, but I think it was also beneficial and a great take of the program for the schools as well. So if we organize events, I mean, this is the plan to continue with the regional unveiling events. Thanks. So now the floor is yours for questions. Yeah, we have one.
Lisa?
Yeah, hi, thank you for that. That was really inspirational, actually. I feel quite moved because
that's very good to hear. And in fact, that was the same impact that we had with some of our MEP, or both, well, all three of the MEPs that were involved in our event.
It got me because I used to, before the world went mad, I used to bring students every year to the EU Mock Council, and we had an absolute blast. So I'd really love to get involved in this. How many ambassadors would you, from a school, how many students would you involve?
So a great question. So it varies very much from school to school, depends on how many students want to get involved. But we would generally, I mean, generally we've had groups of between 6 and 20. So what I would suggest is that there are different students will have different interests, and that you have a small group working on different projects. So you might have some students who are particularly involved, want to set up a debate. So you get that small group involved with that. Other students that might be, for instance, particularly interested in doing the info board, maybe who've got a particular, you might get the group from a geography classroom that's doing that, putting up different information about different EU member states. Or it might be people who have a particular artistic bent who want to put up artistic information from around Europe. But yeah, so it can be any number. There isn't a limit. I know at Loreto High School in Manchester, we ended up with over 40 ambassadors in the end. At some of the schools, it's been a much smaller group. It really depends on those who are interested. But yeah, somewhere between 6 and 20, I think, is probably a good number.
Can I have one last question?
Of course.
Last question. Sorry. I'm an English teacher. I'm not a politics teacher, although I run the debating society. So would that be a disadvantage, do you think?
Not at all, not at all. We will provide you with resources. There's lots of stuff already on the website. We'll also email things out. Every month we send out an email with resources that you can hand over to your team of EPAS ambassadors to get them going on working on a different project each half term or so. And anything that was also, if there's anything that that you want some help with, I'm always available to answer that. So before Darren was at USP, actually, there was USP were very interested in the science side of EU, the Horizons and the European Space Agency, and so they asked us, did we have any contacts with that? We looked in, we found some people for the Horizon and the European Space Agency, and put them in contact as well. So we can do some of that research for you, find out links and put you in touch with people.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions at the moment? Okay, well, as I say, we're very welcome. We're very open to you contacting us whenever you want. Drop us an email. We will get back to you.
Say something?
Sure, and we will make sure that we're available to have a web chat with you or with any senior leaders from your school if you want us to talk through the programme with a head teacher or whatever to explain what it involves.
Yeah, thanks. And just replying your question and also in connecting to other schools, we just had one of our EPA schools. She's now connecting to a school in Germany, an EPA school in Germany, and they are applying jointly to fundings, and they are launching a program together or a project together. So this is also we can help with. So we can put you in touch with schools across Europe if you are interested in that.
Amazing.
Thanks. So. If no more questions,
Yeah.
Are you sure that you don't have more questions? Because you still can have them raised, but we can also reply by email and also just send us any questions or even suggestions for the program itself.
Yeah, well, I think in that case, we will try and finish it on time. And so, well, thank you all very much for your participation. As I say, you'll get an email from us tomorrow morning with various links to resources, to those videos in case you weren't able to see them, and our contact details, so that if there's anything else you'd like to ask us, you're very, very welcome to do so. Thanks all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.